Welcome to Loremen, a podcast about local legends and obscure curiosities from days of yore. I'm James Shakeshaft.
And I'm Alasdair Beckett-King.
And Alasdair, this is a delicious episode in a way. It's all the way from Hertfordshire. It's about the Pie Man of Datchworth.
That sounds delicious.
Doesn't it?
Serve it up to me with some thick-cut skin-on chips.
I'd rather a mash.
A mash?
Pickled cabbage on the side. Feel we need a bit of sharpness.
That's what vinegar's for.
Oh, that's true. Okay, the Pie Man of Datchworth.
Yep.
Now then, Alasdair.
James.
Now then.
Now, it's your story, and you normally lead things in that situation.
Yes.
But I've already seen the name of this story that you've sent me.
Yes.
I'm very excited.
You're in the same position as the listener who will have also seen the name.
Mm-hmm. But normally, they're ahead of me because I have no idea what you're about to say. And then you say, it's the Big Bean of Slough. And I go, hey! This is the first I'm hearing about this.
Well, Alasdair, we've got a couple of little amuse-bouches before we get to that titular Pie Man.
I love to have my bouche amused.
Well, I've got a little... Well, have you heard of Datchworth before?
I don't know what Datchworth is, no.
It's a little village in Hertfordshire. I was given a book called Haunted Hertfordshire, A Ghostly Gazetteer by Ruth Stratton and Nicholas Connell by law folk Justin. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you very much, Justin. No gift for me, I notice.
Well,
do I get this as well?
You sort of get the gift by proxy.
All right.
Because I'm going to tell you all about the Pie Man of Datchworth.
The Pie Man of Datchworth. What a name.
Amongst other things.
Is he a man made of pies? Is he a man in a pie? Is he a man who sells pies? Probably yes, but I'm still excited to find out.
Like I say, there's a few little starters before we get to our big main course of pie.
Wait, can I be clear here? We're talking about real pies, aren't we? Not the kind of pies you would get in a pub.
Yes.
Not just a little bit of puff pastry or potato on top of the stew. That's not a pie. It's not a pie.
It's not a pie.
It's a stew with a lid.
But no, we're in Datchworth, the most haunted village in Hertfordshire, no less.
How have I not heard of this place?
According to Haunted Hertfordshire, A Ghostly Gazetteer.
Well, who would know better than them?
Can I read from the from Haunted Hertfordshire, A Ghostly Gazetteer's introduction to the...
yes. Yeah, will you do it in Gazza's accent? Or
Gazza's?
Or not? As in gazetteer.
Well, it'd have to be a ghostly Gaza. Highway. Oh,
all right, that's enough for me. You can do it in your own voice. I enjoyed that. I got what I wanted.
Okay, Datchworth is celebrated for being Hertfordshire's most haunted village, boasting over a dozen ghostly inhabitants. You cannot fail to notice the unquiet, brooding air of the village, as if it is waiting for something to happen. The curious little church with a witch's hat spire observes all from the top of Rectory Lane, which weaves its lonely way through the fields. Datchworth was featured in 1998 on Carlton's London Tonight programme, and the TV crew concluded Rectory Lane to be one of the most unsettling places they had visited.
Wow. I don't know what kind of a programme that was. Was that like a serious news programme?
Carlton's London Tonight, yeah.
London Tonight?
Yeah, I think it's serious-ish.
Wow. And look at this small street in Datchworth. Whoa, a bit scary.
Probably one of the most unsettling places I've been. And I've been to London, is what I guess the TV crew concluded.
Yeah, famously terrifying place. You wander the streets of Piccadilly and masks of Mr. Bean stare out of every shop next to tasteless Princess Diana's faces. Eyeless the Queens watching you.
Actual Gordon Ramsay, potentially.
The real Gordon Ramsay, gorging himself in M&M World. And then yelling at people. You call this one just has an M on it. You flipping nutters. That's the kind of thing he says, isn't it?
You don't put the greens next to the browns.
It's clashing.
What the F word are you doing?
That's exactly what he's like.
Yeah.
So such a cross man.
Yeah. Do you want some excitement then?
Yes, please.
Okay. How's the headless horse of Burnham Green grab you?
Right in the grabbing places.
With its hooves.
Yeah.
Well.
The headless horse of where?
Burnham Green. There's a little poem.
Please, go ahead.
'Tis but a couplet. At Burnham Green, where the recent dead ride a white horse without a head. That's it.
Yeah, I think you oversold it just a little bit as a poem.
This ghost is seen on, unsurprisingly, on White Horse Lane. The ghost of a headless white horse. You'd think the headlessness would have got itself into the street name, but it evidently wasn't worth mentioning.
Yeah, you want to warn people about that.
The ghost is seen galloping up from Mardleybury. Mardleybury, I'm guessing is how it's pronounced. Mardleybury. Mardleybury. We'll get corrected.
We will. Whatever we do, we'll get corrected. Yeah. Oh, in North Mardlebury, they call it Mardlebury, but down in the south, they called it Mardlebury.
Mardleybury. But the horse belonged to a royalist farmer called Pennyfather.
Pennyfather?
Pennyfather was his name.
His name was Pennyfather?
Yeah.
Let's just cut straight to the scores now. Flash forward to the scores. It's 5 out of 5. Flashback to the episode now.
He lived on Welch's farm.
Welch's farm.
Welch. Like Squelch, but without the
Oh, Mr. Welch, poor Pennyfather, I can't afford the rent.
Oh, but I'm the Pennyfather. I think the Pennyfather seems like he'd be someone who would be rich.
Maybe the Pennyfather, who would be the richest?
I hope you're prepared for this, because the Roundheads attacked his farm and decapitated that farmer. The Pennyfather.
What?
And they spiked his head in the stable yard as a warning.
About being a royalist.
And that actual spike was said to still be there in 81.
Is that 1981?
Sans head, but avec spike.
I'm generally on the side of the Roundheads, but I feel like just going after one farmer. Nah, he's not the real enemy, is he?
Well, they didn't just go after the farmer, Alasdair.
Oh, the horse as well.
The horse resisted capture.
You're telling me they beheaded the horse?
It says here the horse resisted capture, but I think it just acted like a horse.
Yeah.
And so they also decapitated it.
Come on.
Yeah.
You've lost the crowd now.
Big time. A lady living in Tewin Orchard believes she saw the spectral stallion one evening in the 1960s. However, Alasdair, there's a fatal flaw in this. She saw what she thought to be an ordinary horse grazing in the orchard behind her cottage. And then she went out and the horse vanished. And there was nowhere it could have gone. Horses noted for their jumping.
Yep.
Also, let me just go back over that.
Yeah. Can we just spool back?
A detective show.
Zoom in on the word grazing.
Yeah. She saw what she thought to be an ordinary horse grazing.
Yeah.
This horse, famously decapitated. If you saw that grazing, you would not confuse it with an ordinary horse. It would be some sort of horrendous, four-legged white hoover.
Yeah. Just
punking up apples from her orchard.
Awful. Yeah, you get one apple in, dunk. It's blocked.
Rattling round.
Yeah.
You have to turn the horse off. Poke a chopstick.
The apple thuds to the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you'd have to cut it into pieces and just them in one by one. Like sending a message through a pneumatic tube in the 1930s.
Yes. I wish I could ever get the chance to do that.
It would be so good.
I think the closest thing you could do is to work on a till, and they have those capsules that they put the money in. Have you ever seen them putting the money in the capsules?
That is exactly what I thought. In Beamish, there was an old-style shop. That's a
brewery?
No, Beamish, Britain's favourite open-air museum.
Oh, yes.
In Durham. And they have a preserved street, like a Victorian street, I think. And you can go into the shop and they have, little balls that they put the money in, and it rolls like on a tiny little train tracks type thing around into the back room to take the money.
Nowadays, they seem like little sort of plastic spaceships, small spaceships for money. And I don't know what happened. I presume they go into a tube, but I don't see what goes on underneath the till counter. I'm not allowed.
Are you seeing people put money into tiny little spaceships in shops?
The more I think about it, the more I think I might have dreamt it.
It sounds a lot like a dream, James. Who was there?
George Bush.
Yeah.
And Tony Blair. And they'd been playing squash.
And afterwards you did a maths exam.
Yes. With no trousers.
I'm going to have to find out if that still happens.
Anyway, less of this cash spaceship chat. White Horse Lane, locals believe that no animals can be persuaded to walk along it at night.
Well, let's hope the animals don't not cooperate if you try and make them go down that street, and then you have to behead them. That's the only reasonable response of an animal's being uncooperative.
Yes, definitely. No, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. There are other ways. There are other methods.
Well, James Shakeshaft endorses the decapitation of a truculent pet.
There's a pub called the White Horse Pub. Again, there's a vital piece of information, I think, in that name. The picture, though, does have a spooky headless horse on the sign.
Oh, good.
And it's got a rider, so that is 6 in the pub game.
Oh, the pub game. The pub game from Loremen on the Road.
Yes. I played that on the weekend on my own. Everyone else in the car was asleep. I just played against myself. I got 18. I got a coach and horses. I almost woke everyone up. Because I got coach and horses, which, as we all know, is 10. Because you got minimum 2 horses and you've got to have a driver.
Yeah. Could easily be more with a full complement of passengers.
I know, but I play fair. You go for the minimum allowable.
That is true. Say what you will about you're fair.
Yes, unless you're a horse that is resisting arrest.
And very strict. He immediately goes to beheading.
I will not and have not decapitated a horse.
Okay, but the fact that you had to say that on a podcast, it just doesn't feel believable.
It subtracts credibility from the statement.
Methinks James Shakeshaft doth protest too much.
I have not and will not decapitate a horse.
I'll never say never.
That's true. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go on with a riff where I might get in a situation where I have to decapitate a horse.
Although it's very obvious that you can clearly think of several situations where you would decapitate a horse.
Yeah, if someone commissioned me to make an ungodly 4-legged messy Hoover for sucking up apples inefficiently, then I'd have to go with my second idea, which I don't know what that is yet. Moving on to Hawkins Hall Lane, which is haunted by an old lady. Oh, did I mention she was headless? I should have, because she is headless. She has got no head on her at all.
What is happening in this town?
I don't know.
What is going on?
I don't know what she said to these royalists.
You can't solve all your problems with beheadings.
She shuffles along Hawkins Lane in, some say, a purposeful manner. And from the back, she just looks like she's all bent over. But you come around the front, she's got no head on her at all. Absolutely no head.
But you hold up a little scone and boom, she'll have it.
Now, we've got some ghosts which I believe all have heads now. There's the many-spectred of Datchworth Green. I'm going to hit you quick with these. Boom. One night, woman seen standing by the swings. She was dressed in an odd way, old-fashioned clothes and that. Her feet seemed to stand above the ground level. And then she vanished. Now, up until the point where she vanishes, could have been someone on a swing.
Or in the middle of a jump.
Mid-jump. Another time, a lady living in the village was walking towards the green and heard a noise like a horse and cart approaching, but she couldn't see anything. The noise got louder and louder. She heard galloping of horses. She pushed herself into a hedge, basically, to get out the way, but nothing went by, just the noise.
Ooh, good.
There's a house on the green called... I'm going to probably pronounce this wrong. Pettits. Pettits.
I'm sorry?
Pettits. Pettits. Pettits.
Pettit. I tell you what, that's how you get an animal to do your bidding.
Yes.
Not beheading it. Pet it. Don't behead it.
That's haunted by the sound of ghostly footsteps on the stairs. At dusk, a figure of an old woman gathering sticks has been seen on the green. And in the late 90s... the landlady of the Plough pub was troubled by a middle-aged man who used to appear behind her whenever she looked in the mirror.
Oh, that's creepy.
That's pretty creepy.
A lot of pubs probably have weird regulars, but that's creepy even by the standards of pubs.
And apparently she went to a spiritualist church and a clairvoyant told her that she had a spectral admirer.
All right.
And the ghost introduced himself as Jacques from around the 18th century. A bit vague there, Jacques. All of that has been but a bunch of starters. To be honest, we've almost waved them away because we know what our main course is. This takes place on the 28th of December, 1782. So in Hertfordshire, they have, as everywhere did probably around the time in England, they had big fairs. And they'd be a big fair, lots of people would bring their goods to sell. It'd be a whole kind of a party atmosphere. But those people that came to them fairs and sold their wares, especially in the Datchworth area, were really worried about getting robbed on the way home by a highwayman, or even worse, as we know, a footpad.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
A footpad, as discussed, being a highwayman sans horse, more likely to have to knock you out in order to get away fast.
Yeah, a bit slower, and therefore more deadly.
And for some reason, in the fairs around Datchworth, the only people that ever seemed to get robbed were those that had done quite a good trade at the fair.
Interesting. What an interesting coincidence. Yeah.
So it was like there was someone on the inside who knew who'd been selling well, who'd have a lot of money, who'd be worth robbing. And they would invariably get robbed. Now, on the 28th of December, 1782, a farmer's son from Datchworth was travelling back from the fair, and he was attacked. He was attacked by robbers. Now, fortunately, he didn't put up a fight. He just handed his money over straight away. They took that. They didn't rough him up. They let him be.
He cooperated.
And he ran on to the nearby Queen Who Hall.
Queen who?
Queen Who Hall.
Okay.
Related back to an episode a couple of episodes ago. This all takes place very near the town of Ware. So we got the Queen Who, and we got the town Ware. So this farmer went to see his uncle at Queen Who Hall and told him what had happened.
Every time you say it, I'm hearing Al Pacino's voice.
Hoo-ha! And his uncle had a bunch of guns. And him...
A lot of cocaine.
Yeah. Well, the uncle got tooled up along with the nephew, the farmer, and a servant, and they went out looking, quite literally looking for trouble.
Say hello to our large and unwieldy friends, because it's the late 18th century, and these are the most compact guns available.
They went out and they got jumped in Oakenvalley Bottom.
These place names are great.
And they got in a fight with three robbers.
So even though they were looking for the robbers, they still managed to get jumped by the robbers.
By the said
I suppose
robbers.
they're not experienced. They're not experienced in these things.
No, but they did manage to get the upper hand because they shot and killed the ringleader.
Ooh.
Of that gang of robbers. And they unmasked the ringleader in what feels like a very Scooby-Doo moment.
Yeah.
And do you know who it was?
I don't know who it was.
It was Walter Clibborn, the Pie Man of the fair.
The Pie Man?
The Pie Man, the titular Pie Man.
I was going to accuse you of not having introduced that character when you said his name was Walter Clippers, or whatever you said.
Walter Clibborn's.
But you did, of course. You did Chekhov's Pie.
Chekhov's Pie Man.
With the name of the episode.
Yeah. So what he'd done at the fairs, he'd gone round ever so innocently with his pies, sussing out who was taking the most money. So therefore he'd know who to rob after the whole fair had been and done. But he met his comeuppance when he
was shot and killed.
Yes.
Well, live by the pie, die by a gunshot wound.
To this day, Alasdair, the place of his death is marked by a post called Clibborn's Post, which has been replaced and done up. But it's still there, you can go see it. It's near where? By Queen Who's Hall? So that, Alasdair, was the tale of the Pie Man of Datchworth.
Great story. Fantastic names. I'll think twice about buying a pie or beheading a horse now. It's got good lessons for us all.
Yes. You ready to score this?
I would love to, yes, thank you.
Okay. So, let's begin, as ever. Well, not as ever. We kind of mix it up a little bit. Let's begin with naming.
It's 5 out of 5.
Yeah, come on.
We already flash forwarded to it, so I can't change my mind now. There have been no names so bad that I'm forced to knock a point off. There's been some good additional names.
Walter Clibborn's.
Queen Who?
From where? Mardlebury.
Tewin
Orchard.
The Pennyfather. Yeah, great names. The Pie Man of Datchworth. Who would have thought it would be him?
Of all the people.
Of all the people it could be, the only person who'd been mentioned so far in the story who wasn't involved.
Yeah, who's yet to show up.
Yeah, the only person who hadn't yet appeared in the story. It was him. I can't believe it.
It could have been that he was maybe a superhero that came in and saved the day.
Yeah, he could have saved them, yeah.
A pie-themed superhero.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. He was a supervillain.
So who had been bitten by a pie and gained the powers of a pie. That's quite good, actually.
Yeah, well, we shouldn't be putting this out for free again. We should be copyrighting this.
What would his weakness be? Probably an overly wet bottom.
Yes.
That applies to a lot of people, though.
Yeah. There's a Japanese kids cartoon called Anpan Man. It's like a kid's superhero, and his head is an anpan.
What is an anpan?
It's a type of sort of little cake thing. And one of his weaknesses is if he gets his head wet, he's depowered, basically, because his bread head gets wet.
Of course, like a reverse kappa.
And when his head gets wet, his uncle, the baker, or his creator, the baker, has to bake a new head really quickly. And then that head flies over to Ampaman, knocks the old soggy head off. And ba-boom, he's back to full strength. And no one knows what happens to the old heads.
Yeah.
He can also offer bits of his head to children if they're hungry.
Right.
But if he does that too many times, he's depowered.
He's got no head, yeah.
Because he's got too little head. So the uncle, again, needs to bake him a fresh new head. That flies off from the bakery, up the chimney, doodle-doodle-doo, knocks the old one off.
And you're telling me this is an existing cartoon?
Oh, it's been around for like 70 years.
Sounds like an admin nightmare for him.
Anyway, I feel that's distracted. So it was 5 out of 5, right, for names?
It was 5 out of 5,
Long and short,
yes.
5 out of 5 for names. Great. So that takes me to my second category, which is, of course, the supernatural.
Supernatural. Well, a pie man who is a thief is not supernatural.
No, but this is like
the
Batman.
shooting
He's got no
guns is not supernatural. Yeah, he's got no powers. He is like Batman.
Yeah, I did actually forget to tell you something about the old pie man.
Oh yeah, something supernatural?
Well, there's two different stories. One, that he was shot and killed by the farmer's son and unmasked, like a Scooby-Doo, as discussed.
Yeah.
Another is that he was just badly injured, tied to a horse and dragged towards Bull's Green, where he was set upon by angry locals because he'd been basically doing a reign of terror. Mm-hmm. And that's what the post signifies, where that happened. And locals today talk of the dim shape of a horse pulling a writhing body along the lanes, and the sound of hooves and the moaning of the ghostly pieman. And in the late 70s, journalist Evelyn Hall King and her psychic friend Eileen Eisen visited the area. Now, Eileen apparently didn't know these ghost stories, and she wouldn't have had the internet, but she suddenly bent double, moaning that she was being beaten on the head and shoulders, and she said, "The horses, they're coming. Can't you hear them?"
That's very good.
That's some late stuff to put towards the supernatural case that I forgot to say earlier.
Okay, yes. That's new information submitted at the last minute, without me having time to really deal with it.
Because I forgot to submit it earlier.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right, please approach the bench and apologise for being late. That's quite good. Yeah, that's pretty spooky. And then all of the spectres and...
There were the many spectres of Datchworth Green.
Yeah, the many spectres of Datchworth Green.
An old woman gathering sticks.
You got your headless old lady. You got your headless horse.
The ghostly footsteps at Pet Tits.
Yep, the ghostly footsteps of that place. Yep.
Jacques. Saucy Jacques.
I mean, I think that White Horse Lane might be called that because there's a pub called the White Horse on it. But, you know, they could both be named after a spectral stallion.
That back-chatting white horse.
A sassy but headless horse.
Sassy but now headless horse. Hoovering up apples from the orchard.
Yeah.
Funk.
And then shooting them back out.
Yeah, that would be good.
That would be handy. I do feel like the woman who looked out of a window in the 60s and saw something that probably wasn't there. I think Quite a few people in the 1960s have seen things that possibly weren't there. So maybe there are explanations for that.
Yeah.
But we don't know. We don't know. We have to take her testimony seriously.
Could have been a thin elephant.
Yeah.
Anyway, feel I'm distracted.
And an elephant could suck up a load of crab apples with its trunk and then shoot them out. So I think it's a 4 out of 5. Because the Pie Man story was not a substantially spooky story.
No.
It was mostly a crime caper.
It was, yeah. You want the Pie Man to have superpowers, don't you?
I want Pie Man abilities, yeah. I want him to be able to glaze criminals.
If we're going to do the Loreman cinematic universe, we do need more powered up superheroes and villains.
Yeah, okay. we've got the London Monster, we've got the Pieman of Datchworth, Gin Men Ken.
There's all them pigs in the sewer that time.
Yeah, those pigs, the sewer pigs.
Sewer pigs.
Queen Rat. In a sort of Professor X role, I'm seeing Jeff the Talking Mongoose.
Oh, I was going to go with Captain Thickness, but I guess he's more of a Magneto.
I think Thickness is more of a maverick, loose cannon, who probably doesn't work well as the leader of or a member of any team.
He's Wolverine.
Yeah.
He's a grumpy Wolverine.
He is grumpy, yeah.
Okay. All right, then I'll take that 4. My next category is headlessness.
Oh, okay. Too much. It was in excess.
It's more than necessary.
Yeah, it was beyond what was needed to deal with the situation. It was heavy-handed, but light-headed.
Ooh.
Heavy on hands, light on heads, this story.
Nice.
So it should be 5 out of 5, but I'm going to just take the top off it.
Yeah.
And make it 4 out of 5.
That does make sense.
It does, doesn't it?
Can't fault your logic.
I'm as cross as you are, James, but there's nothing I can do. My hands are tied.
Fine, then. In which case, my final category is pie.
Pie?
Pie.
Okay, so we've played this game before. You've cleverly not said pies, because then I would just start counting the number of pies.
Yes.
You're just saying pie.
But it's pie, the idea of pie.
The idea of pie?
Alasdair,
yeah.
Can I just open the creaky gate to Etymology Corner?
Yes, you may.
The word pie, as in the pie, like a meat pie.
Not as in P-I pie.
Not as in the maths thing. I can't stress that enough.
No.
If anyone has been misunderstanding this, that this was a guy who's freelance mathematicianing, that is not what happened. This podcast is not for you. It is for you. If you've thought that all the way through, to be honest.
He's robbed me. How much did he get? 3.14 shillings.
Keep going. So, pie, like as in the meat pie, is
meat
origin. Pie. The word's origin is linked to magpie, and it's about how a pie has just lots of little bits of different things chucked in it.
I see, as in pied, like I said a couple of episodes ago.
Yeah, and I think I said this, didn't I, then?
Did you? I didn't know that.
Explained it better. Or piebald.
Piebald, the Pied Piper.
Means many.
He wasn't a man who had previously been pied with a pie.
Yes.
He hadn't been hit in the face with a pie. He was multicoloured.
Yes.
He wore 2 colours. Yeah.
Yes.
Ah, who knew? Well, you did.
And wasn't this episode quite the pie?
This episode is a pie.
Because it was just like I just put a load of random stories that just happened to all happen in the same village, didn't I, really? And then there was a simple tale of, mob justice, frankly, at the end. Horrific mob justice.
Our episode construction techniques have been laid bare. Just jumbling a whole load of things together.
Like a pub pie that's not a pie. We've lifted the lid on it.
Yeah.
There's not as much there as we thought there was.
No, there's a big
gap.
A big airy gap there. And that, some potatoes. Well, I mean, you've bamboozled and perplexed me, James. I'm not sure how I can score this one.
I think the answer's highly.
Because I've sort of forgotten what the argument... Even as you were saying it, I was already forgetting the argument you were making. The category is pie.
Yes, that's how you should score it. It is highly.
Oh, highly. Okay. Well, that's 5 out of 5 then.
Yes.
For pie.
For pie.
Because this episode was a pie.
The episode was
you
a
and
pie.
me, James, we're just a bit of an onion and a potato.
On the side.
Stewing away inside.
Oh, we're in the pie.
Yeah, we're in the pie. The music is the pastry.
Oh, here it comes. Because it's at the top and the bottom.
Because it's a proper pie.
Because it's a proper pie, actually.
It's not just ceramics, not just a dish underneath us. Pastry. It's not a hot pot.
I think I'm going to eat a pie now.
Just go and have a pie.
Just have a pie. I'm gonna sauce and eat a pie. Maybe I'll make a pie. Is that mad?
Of course it's not. Every pie that's eaten has been made.
That's true. It's 10:15 at night, though. Seems a bit late to start pie construction.
Yeah, it's a bit late to make a pie. You can't make a pie now.
Alasdair, you know these lovely law folk?
Yeah.
Do you know what they want to do if they want to see our faces while these words come out of them?
What should they do if they want to see our faces while words come out of them?
Well, they've got a couple of opportunities coming up.
Do you want to say record scratch?
Record scratch. Irrit. First of all, on Sunday the 17th of September 2023. At 6:30 p.m. BST, bust at the Bill Murray pub. They can see us. Just Google it. Well, we'll put a link in the things.
Just Google it. If you can get on down to London, just Google it.
Just Google it. Yeah, come and see us.
Just Google it. Just do.
Yeah, just do it. And then again, we're doing another show. Should we tell them about the other show?
Oh, a second live show?
Yeah, on the 31st of October. There's nothing special about that night.
Whoa. Oh, the spookiest night of the year.
In London's Balham, as part of the Cheerful Earful Podcast Festival. Again, those should be all your keywords for your SEOs. Stick them in your Google or look at the links that we will put in the show notes.
Hop onto the old Usenet and buy some tickets.
Does Usenet still exist? Isn't it basically where people sell drugs and stuff now?
Oh, I don't know. Get on your GeoCities then.
Just keep it legal. Keep it legal.
Yes, please. Please don't buy tickets to us on the dark web.
Come on.
Now let's probably get the music going again.
Rude. Four brooms and an actual Hoover. And then, there. You've saved your horse, all right? I'm saving horses now, if anything. Right,
wow.
Okay.